Everybody up. Come up. Stage dive, stage dive, stage dive. This is Blenderstyle. Today we're talking about Terror, Pain into Power. Released in 2022.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers. Good intro, Nate.
Now, were we at a fucking concert or something?
So, I've been listening to Terror for over 20 years. I think I first got into them like 2003 or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hardcore band, and this is the first hardcore pick that we've reviewed. So I just want to bring it to the table and see what you guys thought.
I am not familiar with Terror. I'm not really into hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I get into hardcore is probably Hatebreed. I don't even know if that counts.
Yeah, I mean, this both bands are associated.
And maybe a little bit of Biohazard. These are like more metal.
Yeah, a hardcore.
Hardcore. But yeah, no, I've never even heard of Terror. When you sent the album to us, I looked at the artwork and I was like, oh, this is like black metal or something.
The album artwork's pretty sick, though.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. But no, I was for hardcore. I expect like someone getting punched in the face or something. You know what I mean?
So yeah, I'm with Matt. I think the closest I get to hardcore is I listened to some Earth Crisis back in the day,
Hell yeah.
and
Hell yeah.
I don't know Neurosis. Were they considered hardcore back in the day?
No. I like hardcore influence and stuff. Yeah, like their first album was pretty.
But, yeah, I've never heard of this. I will say that I'm not a fan of hardcore. I think the movie American History X ruined it for me. All I associate hardcore with is like white power now.
Like skinhead shit.
Yeah, and I know it's not that. I know that's not how it is, but because I was
especially the.
I know it's because I was never into hardcore, and so when that movie came out, I was like, oh, that's what all hardcore is.
No, I could see that.
But yeah, no.
And apparently, this is a subgenre called Beatdown.
Okay, so
what is that?
I guess this is something that this is not a term I use.
Mm-hmm.
So this is hardcore. It's just simple hardcore. Definitely has like a metal influence because it's heavier, but like this is like a early suicidal tendencies on steroids.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the guitar tone and stuff. It definitely has like a suicidal sound to me. I'm just okay. So
yeah, what's hardcore?
I grew up with hardcore.
So,
you know what I mean? I've been in hardcore bands.
These guys are from LA. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
They formed in 2002.
Yes.
And they're noted as one of the forefront leaders of the heavy hardcore and hardcore punk.
Yeah.
So they're kind of like an innovator, from what I understand.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Vogel's also been in many other bands. He was in a band called Buried Alive. And
hold on, what's his name?
Scott Vogel.
Oh,
the lead singer.
I thought you said his name was Vocal, and I was like, "That's pretty cool." He's a vocalist and he's vocal.
No, but he has been doing this. Well, these guys, there's only two original members, the drummer and the lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys have been within the hardcore scene their whole lives.
Okay.
And me personally, I grew up in Tehachapi, California, and we had a great hardcore scene. Bands like Die Hard Youth, The Warriors. These are, the Warriors. I went to high school with them and stuff.
Were they always standing on the edge of heartache?
I played in hardcore bands ever since I was a kid. So the hardcore scene is something that, I hold very true to me, like very close to me. The friendship, the music, the community, I guess you got to be a part of it to really understand it, But today we're just kind of talking about, the music, but
that's like an element of it, you think?
Oh, for sure. I mean, if you listen to even, Terror Crew, like he mentions and stuff, and like, it's a very tight knit community, So no racism.
So hardcore. So hardcore as a musical scene. Just from what I understand, because like I said, American History X ruined hardcore for me, so I started kind of reading into it. But they're all about like you said, community and togetherness and self-empowerment. Like a lot of the messages.
That's what I got from Hatebreed too.
Yeah,
is like I'm strong. I'm gonna overcome my enemies and stuff like that. It's not like
we come from broken homes, man. We're the outcasts, and we're the outcasts that came together, and it's a brotherhood and a
It's-
sisterhood. It's
weird because a lot of the old school early 90s punk scene from LA was broken homes and things like that. And then this was like the evolution, it seems like, of the kids who punk wasn't hard enough for them, and they're like, let's do something heavier.
So yeah, you got hardcore, which in like your early bands, you got Black Flag. Black Flag would be considered a hardcore band.
Okay.
Okay.
Agnostic Front would be considered a hardcore
Yeah,
band.
I've heard Agnostic.
which is like a crossover band that also introduced metal and stuff. Terror is just also one of those bands that like has like a metal influence with it.
Okay.
Just like a beefier, heavier hardcore. There's all different types of subgenres of hardcore, just like you would, metal or punk.
Yeah.
But I've seen Terror numerous times.
Okay.
One of the coolest.
I would be afraid to go to one of their shows.
You know what? You would honestly think that, and they do get wild.
Uh-huh.
They do get wild. But like I said, there's a sense of brotherhood there that, people picking people up.
That's cool.
But you're definitely going to get your head stomped on. Scott Vogel is known for saying weird, outlandish things. They call them Vogelisms. You should look them up. There's plenty of them. And he loves stage dives. So he's just always like, come on up. We're all one today. This stage is your stage.
This is making more
stage dive.
I'm glad you're explaining it like this, because this is like part of the package, right?
Yeah, and this is kind of one of the reasons why I haven't brought a hardcore album to the table, because it's kind of something that you have to kind of experience and get to know.
Because we're nerds when we do this. We just like put on our glasses and like listen to the music in great detail and like take notes on our paper.
Yeah,
but this is more than that.
There's a history to it. And what's cool about hardcore is there's a history to it, but there's a now to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still going, and it'll continue to go. Hardcore will live forever.
Let me ask you about the music, though. Like, is most hardcore like pretty straight up like this?
Yeah, it's straightforward. There's no bells, there's no whistles. It's punch in the face.
Like, it's rarely experimental, right?
You got experimental hardcore. They can go in the sense of like, I'm trying to think of a band, Earth Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty, it's slower.
Yeah.
It's heavier. You got bands like Refused. I don't know if you've heard of this band.
Sounds familiar.
Neurosis came from hardcore and punk, went on to be Neurosis.
Yeah.
Also like bands like Poison the Well could say that, hardcore was a big factor into like say what they do.
Does screamo kind of branch off of hardcore?
I would say so, yeah. And you got to understand too, like hardcore comes from a very DIY scene. You know what I mean? Like it's do it yourself. We're making our own venue. We're opening our own venues, putting on our own shows. This is hardcore. We're doing it. Fuck the man. We work a 9 to 5, and we don't want none of that bullshit here. We're releasing. It don't matter what color you are, what religion you are, what sex you are, sexual preference. You know what I mean? All rules off.
Yeah,
that's what true hardcore is, at least to me.
That's
and
cool.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
that's
sounds
awesome,
like a fun
kind of,
album.
dude.
Oh, it's. I would not be the person I am today if it was not for punk and hardcore music. I hold it very dear to me. And that's one of the reasons why I've kind of held off a little bit. And that's why I'm bringing Terror to you guys. Because Terror is one of those bands I feel like that everyone can kind of...
They're the gateway drug?
Yeah, can kind of grasp onto if you're into
This album
music.
is a headbanger, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I wrote in my notes, workout music.
For sure.
You know what I mean? I just go and lift up some weights in my garage or whatever and play this.
Hell yeah.
And this is also another one of Nate's favorite things. This is 10 tracks, 18 minutes.
Dude, I remember the other day I was like, I got 20 minutes till this meeting I got to go into, and I'm like, I got time to listen to that Terror album. Corpsegrinder's on this. Dude. I fucking love that. Corpsegrinder's a big hardcore fan, I think.
Yeah. Also, yeah.
So,
from Cannibal Corpse.
So I want to come in first and say I wanted to hate this when I first listened. And just like I said, it's because
the
stigma that surrounded, or I don't even know if it's surrounded. It's probably something I just made up in my head after watching a movie, because
very much so.
I know, like, I think between that and then, like, remember back in like the early 90s when that whole when people would stand in the middle of the pit swinging their arms.
The hardcore and metal
floor punching.
Yeah, and it used to piss me off because, like, dude, we want to mosh.
Yeah.
I don't want to get hit by some dumbass in the middle of the fucking...
Like, Morbid Angel fans are just like, they just want to see the guitar playing and stuff like that. Hardcore fans are like, I'm here to beat people's ass.
Yeah,
that's our impression.
Yeah, and I think that's that thing that I got from it. So I always pictured it as just like kind of like this inaccessible for somebody unless they really want to get in there and get their ass kicked every time they listen to it.
Oh, so that
was my kind of opinion of it too.
And so I came into this wanting to hate it. But there's actually a lot of good stuff going on here. Like, I was really surprised. Like you said, if this is a gateway, I'm kind of interested in it. I thought it was pretty decent. The vocals are great. Like, his voice is really good. And I love the fact that he uses overdubs, but he doesn't use it in like an over exaggerated way. He uses it kind of as a backup thing, and it works out really well. There's some great guitar distortion, like the distortion on the guitar on this.
This sounds good.
Tone
it sounds heavier than most heavy
ballsy,
bands. Yeah,
man.
it's great, and it's beefy, which is really cool. It's a good mix too. Like, for being short songs and like not a lot, like just guitars, bass, and drums, like the mix is really good and it sounds really full. And even though these songs are like short as hell, they don't seem short. They're fully fleshed out, which is one of my big complaints. Like, every time you pick an album with like really short songs,
they don't end abruptly, strangely.
Yeah, they feel like it's right as they
time.
start getting good that the song's over. These have that build up and then this let out, and it really works out well.
It's fast.
It is.
I love that circle pit. Let's headbang.
Yeah.
So I was actually late to this album, because Terror is one of those bands that will always sound like Terror, right? So I hope you guys go back and listen to older Terror.
I kind of got that just listening to this. I feel like this is a consistent band.
Yes, and this is what I love about Terror, you know what I mean? Like, even some of the lyrics, sometimes you're like, has he said that before?
Hold on.
But
how were you late to this? This came out this year.
Well, in the sense of I didn't listen to it right when it came out. Because, like, it's like I said, like with Terror, what's so cool about Terror is, man, it's always going to be there. Okay. I know, like, no rush. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
I know what's,
And it's not like you're like, what did they do next? You already kind of know what's going to,
what to expect. They changed things. They've changed things up over the years and stuff. And, like, what I love about this one, though, is it's, like, right out the gate, straightforward and, like, fast.
It seems polished as shit, too.
Yeah, these are well thought out songs,
hardcore is derivative of punk, right? One of the beefs I have with punk is, like you mentioned, Black Flag, I think. Henry Rollins' band, right?
Yeah, he was in Black Flag, yeah.
And that one of those, the one where he's punching the glass. I forgot the name of it.
Damaged.
I listened to that album a lot several years ago. Six Pack, all that.
Yeah.
Good album. But it's like the production and the performances are shit.
Yeah.
It sounds.
Well, also, then they didn't really know how to record some of this shit too, I think.
And like punk, that was like kind of a theme with punk. It also had that DIY thing, and it always kind of turned me off until I like started to understand, like, it's like fuck the man, kind of like you were saying. Yeah. But this is polished and like well produced. It sounds heavy. It sounds pleasing. It's easy to listen to. I don't have to get over like it sounds like we're in a garage and like the nasty grit. Like it's a fucking banger, dude. Like, this music makes me want to get shit done.
Yeah.
Like, be productive in life, not like mopey and stuff like that.
Dude, and the lyrical themes within hardcore in general, but especially Terror, is like, people fuck up. I fuck up. Times are hard. But I'm going to get fucking through it. Ain't nobody going to stop me. You know what I mean?
So that was one of my downfalls on this album, was the lyrics.
I kind of dig the approach of the lyrics.
No, I put on my notes, like, the lyric content it's empowering. It's good. Like, it comes off as like, hey, you know what? Take responsibility and fix your shit and But to me, it just kind of came off as cheesy, the way that they were portraying the message, I think. I think it could have been portrayed a little bit better. But I wouldn't say it was horrible. It just, to me,
it's not poetic, man.
Yeah, maybe that's it. So it just kind of sounded like somebody, it's
really straightforward.
Yeah, it sounded like somebody up there, like a motivational speaker trying to explain.
It's a simple man with this simple piece of paper.
And then the drumming on this seemed kind of weak to me. I mean, it was good, but I think a lot of it was repetitive.
It's like recycled.
Yeah, they recycle a lot of the same stuff. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. It's just, to me, it was just...
I agree. That's like my beef with it, too.
It fits the songs really well. It just kind of got repetitive towards the end.
Yeah.
And you could skip to almost any point in this album and not know which song you're on because they all sound pretty similar.
I agree completely.
But I mean, really, other than that, there wasn't a lot to not like about this. I think the biggest dislike for me is my misunderstanding of hardcore and the fact that, like, as I got into it more and, like, kind of researched it, that stigma kind of went away. And I think given more time, this is easily going to, like, become better. And like you said, if this is their kind of thing, I'll probably go back and listen to some other stuff and kind of get into it more. Because there's nothing on this that's offensive to the point where I'm like, well, I don't ever want to listen to that again.
Yeah. So what would you rate this, Casey?
So I give this a 3.1 out of 5.
Okay.
I like it. It's good. It's heavy. It's a lot heavier than a lot of the heavy stuff we listen to, which is weird.
That's funny.
And I think it's not
because there's meaning behind it.
Well, it's not even that. It's just the distortion on it is really good, and it's not just like play fast for the sake of playing fast. There's momentum and meaning behind every like piece. There's not a whole shit ton of crazy drumming and stuff.
It all kind of makes sense, huh?
It does, but it's put together well, and it makes it feel way heavy. My biggest complaint, like I said, is it kind of gets a little stale. And to me, I'm not into that motivational speaking kind of thing. And to me, it kind of comes off as like real TW. But that could just be me, and eventually it'll wear off. But I mean, I think it's a good album, and I'm kind of interested to go back and listen to some other stuff.
Cool.
And what about you, Matt?
I give it a 3.0 out of 5. You basically said exactly what I was going to say. Like, I do like the motivational speaker kind of vocals. Like that was our lyrics. That was something I always liked about Hatebreed.
Yeah.
I'm going to get revenge on you. Don't fuck off. It's not like self-deprecating at all, really. It's more empowering and stuff like that. But the music doesn't really do a bunch. The last song kind of starts out a little slower and has like an epic buildup, but it's still very short. I wish there was more variety, more progression, more experimentation. I'm glad you said what all you said, because it does make more sense. It's a banger, though. It's easy to listen to. I listened to it a lot, and it was very enjoyable. And if you're like, hey, let's go to a show, I'm like, I'm going to sit in the back because I don't want to get punched again.
Sit in the back with a riot shield in front of you.
So I got to bring this up, though, because, it's been brought up a couple times. So what you guys are bringing up is floor punching.
Okay.
And this is like a term, right, of the type
floor
of
punching.
Floor punching.
So
as you can tell, like, it originated when I was younger. It originated to where it was pretty much on the ground.
Yeah.
And you went up. Nowadays, people do the windmills to the back, and they crowd kill and stuff. And anybody that's crowd killing, and I know people that are my friends that think crowd killing is cool. You're not fucking cool. You're not fucking cool. But I don't want to. Floor punching was fun for me. Me and my friends. I had friends that would even come up with cool little dances with it.
No, see, I could see that being fun.
Yeah.
What I want to bring up though is back in punk Sex Pistols days, they pogoed, and people were like, "That's violent. It's crazy." Then you had thrash metal and punk and slam dancing, circle pitting. It's violent. It's blah blah blah. And then you got metal kids and hardcore kids that got together, because a lot of these shows were local shows, and hey, not every band in your local area
and the
is a hardcore band, right?
The promoter doesn't know the difference.
Oh yeah, or the fans don't know a difference. So I think in the early years, people would get together, people would want to circle pit, and they're getting punched and kicked, and they're not understanding it. So I think it's like the parents not understanding the pogo sticking or understanding the circle pitting.
Oh, yeah.
It's just misunderstood. So I don't think, I just want to point that out, because it's just misunderstood.
Yeah.
And then you got like the Shadows Fall guys doing like crescent kicks.
Well,
Then
Shadows Fall is very hardcore influence. Their lead singer came from a hardcore
Oh,
band.
interesting.
His vocals are very hardcore besides the clean.
Yeah.
But anyways, me myself, I can say this for future records, I will never rate anything that Terror does below a 4.0, but I give this a 4.5. This is actually a record that I enjoy very much, more than the last 2 albums they came out with, because this is just a bullet train, man. No bells, no whistles, just fucking violence.
Yeah, there's no,
and I love that about
extra
it.
in this.
Kind of reminds me of Unsane a little bit.
Yeah,
which we reviewed. You know what I mean? It's just like balls to the wall.
Exactly. And then I love that Todd Jones is in it. Todd Jones is the lead singer of Nails, and he was an original guitar player for Terror.
I did read something about that.
And he was also in another hardcore band, Carry On, which is a hardcore band I've loved for many years. So I love that. I love Corpsegrinder's on it. So I just love that about it. Yeah. So I give this a 4.5. It's a very fun.
So those other things are like icing on the cake for you.
Yeah, and I just love that there's no bells, there's no whistles. It's just straight up cramming it in your face.
Like if they put keyboard on this, it would ruin it. Yeah,
there will never be a keyboard on.
I really hope like their next album has keyboard and stuff.
Female
just
vocals.
So Nate could be like, 3.9.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I honestly don't think that'll ever happen. These guys they're veterans.
Yeah.
They still probably tour in a minivan.
Well, this is their 8th album, and they've been consistent from what I read, like the whole time.
Dude, these guys are they're road warriors, man. 4.5, Terror till the day I die.
Good pick, Nate.
Yeah, good pick.
So this is Blenderstyle. That was Terror, Pain into Power.
This guy has boundless contempt. Someone lied to him and he can't let it go.